What does it take to be an entrepreneur?
When you wake up early in the morning thinking about, your vision that you have.
Whenever you choose to set up any form of business, you have to be passionate about it.
You literally want something to be successful.
To be successful in entrepreneurship.
Realize they needed to go to school to learn the profession.
Meet the brains behind the business.
Wait for that money to come, and you must have a project.
One of the mistakes when they try to be entrepreneurs is they jump into it a little bit too early.
If I don't know, then I know a lot of people don't know.
Mind your own business. This program provides the platform for budding entrepreneurs to initialize, educate, and develop ideas emerging into the global stage of the economy. Stay tuned on this station for Mind Your Own Business, brought to you by UBA, Africa's Global Bank.
This is Mind Your Own Business, brought to you by UBA, Africa's Global Bank.
Good morning and thanks for tuning in. This is Mind Your Own Business, brought to you by UBA, Africa's Global Bank. I'm your host, Wale Famrewa, and it's great to be back on the airwaves, bringing you inspiring and enlightening stories of entrepreneurship in Nigeria. Of course, over the course of this program, we have brought you really interesting stories of some of Nigeria's brightest entrepreneurs. We're talking about people like Bolanle Austin Peters of BAP Productions, Obin Ikezie, the former NBA player, who is now the founder of wakanow.com, Mary Dina of JobLinks, Lanre Akinlagun of Drinks.ng. The list goes on. And at the end of the day, we've really brought you stories of people who are beating the market, who are able to make the most of a tough opportunity. And we bring you another story today. And today our guest is actually not from Nigeria, so I think that's a very interesting angle to his story. He's a Ghanaian, so we'll be hearing more about that background. But beyond that, he's an entrepreneur at his core. And our guest today is Raphael Afaedor, the co-founder of Supermart.ng. Raphael, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Wale.
All right, let's look back into that story of that entrepreneurial gene that has been flowing over the years. But it didn't start with entrepreneurship. Of course, you used to be an employee at some point. So take us back to your story and how Supermart.ng came to be.
Sure. So I've always taken school and academics very seriously. So I did take it seriously way through high school, through to university. I got my grades. So I went through to finish master's degree in computer science. I chose computer science because somehow when my mother came back from doing her MBA, I read the management information system books, and something told me that was going to be the future. Computers were going to be the future. So I just decided that was what I was going to do. I studied computer science and electrical engineering. Graduated. I joined Monster.com, where I stayed for 3 years, rose to become a senior manager in those 3 years. I applied myself. I'm in charge of 18 European countries. And then I decided, I think I was growing. I'd grown rather rapidly in Europe, but I thought it was time to actually move to the States, where I thought I was going to be able to apply myself more. I got there though, and I decided to go to the States, but to go through formal education, so that I'll be able to get almost to the top of that society and not have to go and start from somewhere lower down the ranks. Right. So I went to HBS to do Harvard Business School to do my MBA. But right about then, I felt like that wasn't the best next step for my life.
What did Harvard do for you in terms of your worldview?
It expanded it. I think it changed my sense of self, my sense of what I'm capable of, and almost what I should apply my talent, my God-given talent to. So it just gives you that belief that you're capable of doing anything. And I think that, coupled with, arriving in the States and trying to find that sense of who I am and what I want to do with my life, that right juncture is when I decided I think I wanted to come back to the subcontinent to be able to apply myself here, because I just felt that nothing else will make me happy.
But you didn't go back to Ghana, right? You came to Nigeria directly, or tell us that story.
Sure. So I met a Nigerian entrepreneur who was also doing his executive MBA there. He had come, and you know the way when you're abroad, you meet somebody, you don't have to talk, but we are from the same place almost. Right. And so I went over, we spoke for a bit. He said, come check out what we're doing. I said, if you buy me the flight ticket, I'll definitely come. I did come. That was my first time in Lagos in 2008. But when I landed, I immediately knew it, right? So I just told him, finish my internship. If you make me a full-time offer, I will take it. Spent a year back and forth, not back and forth, thinking if I would actually take it, and made me an offer, and I took it.
Right.
And so I came here, and I worked with Notori for 16 months. I headed marketing and business development for West and Central Africa, applied myself, and also sales for Nigeria. And after 16 months of applying myself, again, the bag, the pressure, almost an internal pressure. You need to be out there on the tech scene. You're a computer scientist. And I was loving agriculture, but it was just in there. I needed to be out there building tech businesses.
It really brought you back into tech.
Exactly. So I had to have a good conversation with my employers, who are still very much my mentors, to say, look, I think I need to go out there and go start something.
So what did you do next? Because I know before Supermart.ng, there was Jumia, right? Tell us that story.
Sure. So then when I was actually thinking about leaving Notori, I asked myself, what would be the best tech venture to start here? Everything around me pointed to the fact that the country was ripe for e-commerce, right? There was a difficulty getting access to goods. There was a traffic situation to be able to get from one place to the other. And I could see from the cars people were driving on the streets, etc., that, there was the ability to pay. Increasingly, internet was in the hands of the people. So people with mobile devices, the cost was dropping. And so almost all the factors that need to come together for this to work were coming together. InterSwitch was getting more and more pervasive, so online payment was coming around. So I just thought to myself, e-commerce. I started the first venture, a couponing business, kind of like Deal Day.
Okay.
And I ran that for about a year and segued that into Jumia. And the reason why is because I started wanting to build a Jumia, but knowing that it's so difficult to build something like that because you're literally replicating the entire supply chain, from sourcing to warehousing to distribution, etc. Whereas if you do a couponing business, all you have to do is to send electronic coupons to people and they go pick up the products themselves. That was a very nice way to test the market. After 1 year, I was convinced. So I got in touch with the guys of Rocket Internet, and we started Jumia from there. All
right, and then take us to Supermart.ng. Why did you make that transition to Supermart?
Sure. There's a Yoruba proverb that says 20 children cannot play together for 20 years.
You've been living here for so long. You're already picking up Yoruba proverbs. That's good to know.
Yeah. No, so I think we built Jumia for 2 years, and myself, Bolahon Tunde, and we asked ourselves at a certain point, what was the next best thing to do? You could spend another 3-5 years building the same thing, but when we looked around us, we saw more opportunities to get things done. The company after 2 years was really almost like on its feet, right? And somebody could take that and run with it, and it's going to only get bigger and better. But for those of us who wanted to be in the trenches building stuff, I saw, for example, grocery delivery, and I looked around me, right? The women in our lives spend 3 to 6 hours literally on a weekly basis getting their groceries, and we thought there could be a better way of doing that. So we decided, why don't we just aggregate all the grocery inventory online so that they actually can go to one address, and within 10 minutes they'd have picked everything they want and somebody will deliver it to their homes. Because if you think about it, it doesn't make sense for you to have to go to the local market just to pick water or toilet roll or a lot of the things that we do, just to be stuck in traffic for 3-6 hours. These 3-6 hours we believe they can spend on themselves, they can spend with their spouses, they can spend with their kids, getting a massage, whatever. Right, and today you have the fuel scarcity on the one hand, and then you have the deregulation and in the price 70% price hike on the other hand. I think a service like ours is even more necessary now because, again, go online shop. You don't have to think about fuel for your car to go buy groceries. The groceries will be delivered to you. So we set out to do that. Well,
it sounds like a success story. We'll get into it after this commercial break. But as usual on this show, we like our guests to make a music selection. So, Raphael, what would you like for us to play for you?
Sure. Adekunle Gold was one of us in Jumia back in the day. So, I would choose Pick Up.
All right. I think this man is fully integrated into Nigeria. All right. We'll bring you that, of course, and we'll bring you more from the story of Supermart.ng when we come back after this break.
Coming up on Mind Your Own Business.
Customers also have some demands that you as a business need to manage, right? So I'll give you an example. Supermart.ng, for example, does not have a call center.
You're listening to Mind Your Own Business, brought to you by UBA, Africa's global bank.
Every week on Mind Your Own Business, MYOB, 2 lucky winners stand a chance of winning 100,000 naira alongside consolation prizes. And that's not all. Look out for the grand drawer. 3rd prize winner, 200,000 naira. 2nd prize winner, 300,000 naira. And the 1st prize winner, 500,000 naira. Okay, here's how you participate. New and existing customers have to open and fund a UBA Lion Prime basic account with at least 20,000 naira or more. It's that simple. Follow UBA/MYOB on social media for more updates. Mind Your Own Business is brought to you by UBA, Africa's global bank.
Welcome back to Mind Your Own Business, brought to you by UBA, Africa's global bank. We explore the stories of people who have moved from employees to entrepreneurs. And we have a very interesting story today. Raphael Afaedor is the co-founder of Supermart.ng, and he's still with us. Raphael, let's talk very briefly about the value of research, because everyone is hearing about the story of Supermart.ng. It's a success story. It's been around for well over 2 years. It seems, if anything, at least stable. I'm sure it's even more than that. But help us appreciate what it took to understand the market and what that knowledge did for you in terms of making this venture successful.
Sure. So you definitely have to research what you're walking into. You think you have the answers. Even after researching, you think you have the answers, but you get there and find out you don't have all the answers, and you still have to tweak a lot of things. But to get started, you have to ask questions, right? And I think one of the mistakes I've seen people make is to think that they have a product and everybody is a customer of the product. I think that is a bit of fallacy.
Sometimes we overestimate the market.
Absolutely.
Because everyone talks about the 180 million people and they feel
1%.
Yes,
right.
Everyone is ready to shop online and so forth. So it's not always like that, right?
No, it's hardly ever like that. I think what you want to do is to almost force yourself to tailor the product to a specific individual. So it comes down to the level of a few people, because what that forces you to do is to ask all the right questions, right? If you don't do that, you think, well, I can... since everybody is going to buy it, then I don't need to really tweak this, fine-tune this particular aspect of the business. Yeah. But if you're forced to think, well, this particular lady, she's 25 years old, she works in this particular place, this is her lifestyle, this is what her daily commute is the one who's going to use my product. It forces you to go down to the level of detail. If I have a call center or do not have a call center, what difference does it make? Because a call center comes with its own cost attached. If I have, it forces you to make concrete decisions. So asking the questions, tailoring the product to or service to the needs of a specific customer is important. Once you're done doing that, you have to hit the road, because no amount of research will make up for what you actually learn when you get to into the field itself. But you learn very quickly, and you iterate, and you change things, and you keep improving gradually.
Help me appreciate the process into understanding the customer, understanding what they want and so forth. Because one thing that many people suggest is glaringly lacking in Nigeria is a customer service culture. And tell us what that is practically for a business like yours.
For a business like mine, or my personal perspective is, of course, you have to start with the customer in mind, and you have to make sure you almost like over please the customer. But I think customers also have some demands that you as a business need to manage, right? So I'll give you an example. Supermart.ng, for example, does not have a call center.
Right.
Okay, we just have a contact center. You send an email, you get a response within 5 to 10 minutes. That's it. And because what you find out is, but what you find out is some customers want to be able to pick the phone and call
a call
center. Yeah. But they think that is customer service. But customer service is actually about solving the problem of the customer. So we have to create a world where it's easy for the customer to communicate their problem to us, and we're able to effectively solve the problem the first time we respond to the query. If you don't do that, then you make the mistake of probably putting a call center there. Customer calls, and they do one of two things, right? They call to ask about something they should have found on the site, which means you haven't built your site, or you focus on building that instead. Or they're irate, they're angry over something else, and the customer service agent becomes almost a person who just listens to them and then tells them, we're going to go and investigate and respond to you. But the customer is invariably even more angry because nobody solved their problem. So understanding what the problem you're solving is, and tailoring your solution to the problem, and then educating your customer. But you have to just make sure that what you're doing is such that ultimately the customer can change some of their worldview, because they realize that I just like this service where I go online, I order, I don't have to interact with anybody. The goods arrive at my door. Instead of creating a service where they think they have to be calling you, is my tomato going to come? Is my, orange, I need my orange to be, this ripe, and I need this. That's a lot of interaction that makes them feel like the service is not quite it. Right? But if you force yourself, discipline yourself to build a service that solves the problem, and you carry the customer along and educates them, then, and I think that's one of the things that people like about our service, to be honest. They go online, almost like Uber. Nobody calls Uber customer service. We just love the fact that you press this on that app, the car comes, you talk to the driver, you don't talk to the driver. That's all your own personal choice. Finish, bye-bye, and that's it. And that's what we've built with Supermart. Go online, order for anything, your tatashe, your pomo, your kwanla, whatever it is. Put it all in the back in the cart, check out, pay. Somebody will arrive, select your delivery window, of course. Somebody will arrive there, inspect that thing, say bye-bye to the person, and that should be it. Right?
No, interesting what we're hearing about your business. But let's take this forward. Where are you taking this business? How big do you think it can get?
So groceries is wholesale and retail of groceries and everyday essentials, about 70% of the Nigerian retail space. So it's big. Right? And we believe that for some people that is broken. Some people have the time to go to, and some people even love going to the local markets. Some people have the time to go to one supermarket and to the next supermarket. But there are a lot of other people that really need a service like ours. Busy urban professionals, experts and reparts, nursing moms,
so it's really niche. It's a niche market. To a large extent.
I wouldn't call it a niche market per se. I think some people feel the need more in the beginning, and some people will feel that need or will gravitate towards the solution much later. And that's almost like what you get whenever you introduce a new technology. There are people who are actually a bit more ready for the new technology. You go after those first. And then as time goes on, even people who are more mainstream will gravitate towards the new technology. I still struggle to understand why people should put themselves through the stress of going to the market to shop. 3-6 hours that you get stuck. Now, I'm not saying that people should not go to supermarkets to pick up items when they're driving by a park and shop, for example, or a ShopRite or something. See that there are no queues there, pop in there, smell the orange or something and pick a few of those or something. That's fine, right? That experience will always be there. But that pressure, when it's Thursday and you're thinking, I need to go to the supermarket today, I still have a presentation to give to my boss because the kids don't have anything to eat tomorrow over the weekend. That pressure should not be there.
Right. Interesting stuff you're telling us. I'm sure many that are looking at this sector are probably learning a lot from this. All right, we're going to another break right now, but before we do that, as usual, another music selection. Raphael, what do you pick this time?
Oh my, I think I'm a big Olamide fan. So I think anything from Olamide.
All right. Okay, I'm sure we'll bring that for you, and we'll continue this conversation with Raphael Afaedor, the co-founder of Supermart.ng. We're back in a moment.
Coming up on Mind Your Own Business.
I wouldn't give money to somebody who's not getting any experience. I mean, what is he going to do with the money? Get into any field, any kind of business, learning about the business, understanding some of the challenges of people, help to structure a business, a presentation, etc. Just the basics that you can learn. There's a lot you still learn being an entrepreneur, but I want to see a bit of a background.
Your Own Business, brought to you by UBA, Africa's Global Bank.
Every week on Mind Your Own Business, MYOB, 2 lucky winners stand a chance of winning 100,000 naira alongside consolation prizes. And that's not all. Look out for the grand draw. 3rd prize winner, 200,000 naira. 2nd prize winner, 300,000 naira. And the 1st prize winner, 500,000 naira. Okay, here's how you participate. New and existing customers have to open and fund a UBA Lion Prime basic account with at least 20,000 naira or more. It's that simple. Follow UBA/MYOB on social media for more updates. Mind Your Own Business is brought to you by UBA, Africa's Global Bank.
Welcome back to Mind Your Own Business, brought to you by UBA, Africa's Global Bank. My guest is Raphael Afaedor, the co-founder of Supermart.ng. And Raphael, I want us to begin to leave some valuable lessons for our listeners today. And the first I want us to look at is just a reflection. If you were to go back 17 years or whatever it is, you've been in business for a while, you've worked for a while, what are the key lessons you've learned that you think you perhaps would have done differently if you, with the benefit of hindsight?
I think so that choice, or it's said whether it's being an entrepreneur is nature or nurture.
Yeah,
I think it's a bit both. You learn a lot. I think more important is to find something that you're extremely passionate about. For some of us, it's actually being out there building something. You know, we almost like conceptualize a view of the world and want to create that view of the world. So part of who I am is almost invariably creating something that doesn't exist. But that can be done within the context of an organization, right? You can actually start a new department and grow it to become something big, or you be an entrepreneur out in the trenches and build something from nothing. For some other people, being things like investment bankers or consultants can be something they're passionate about. I think more important is to follow your passion. Find something you're passionate about. Right. Because if you're going to do
and
the
invest
best
in that passion early.
Exactly. No, however soon you can find that passion, I think you should go very hard after.
But what about the value of education? Because there's a balance there. I think there is the traditional thing to do is get educated and then go build a business or work for somebody.
No, I absolutely value education. I absolutely value. I don't know if it makes sense to do a master's degree or another master's or a third master's or something. I don't know, but for sure, take your primary, secondary, and university education seriously. I think what it does, it provides you almost like a safety net. Right. You can have all the experience in the world, but there are a lot of employers who value that university education. If you go out into entrepreneurship, you find out that you actually will learn a lot about running a business. I think even more than you would if you went into formal employment. Because today you're dealing with HR, tomorrow you're dealing with finance, another day accounting, raising funds, operations. You know, you're dealing with just about everything. I think your value to any employer is enormous because you come in the understanding, you know, the CEO's world. So yes, I don't think an entrepreneur fails. You can always find something to fall back on. The worst that you can do to yourself, though, is not to have formal education, in which case all you have to say is that I have experience. That makes life a bit more difficult. So I think definitely I value education.
Useful point there. Let's talk about challenges and reflect on some of the toughest challenges that you've faced running a business, and how do you approach those challenges? What are the big lessons you've learned?
Sure. I think your entrepreneurship really is about facing challenges, dealing with them, and waiting for the next one to come. There will always be enough to go around. I mean, there's just never the point where you can say it's all done and life is all like, you know, a bed of roses. No.
So it's important to embrace them.
You will embrace them. It comes with the territory, is what I tell people. The second thing, my attitude is never to get too excited or too deflated, right? So it doesn't really matter. I can get $1 million in my pocket today. You won't see it on my demeanor because I'm like, oh, great, $1 million. Okay, but I have to keep moving on. In much the same way, I'll lose something valuable. You won't see it because I just remind myself that tomorrow is another day. And somehow, some part of this is just really time, right? You sleep today, you wake up tomorrow, the mood has changed, or you get a phone call and things have started moving in the right direction. So I just try not to get too excited, and I also not too dejected, and just keep moving because challenges come with the territory.
Speak to some growing entrepreneurs, people who are looking to jump into what you've done. What would your big advice to them?
I think getting formal experience is very important. People talk about the fact that I just want some money to be able to start a business. I think if you don't have the money to start a business, it's one of two things. Either you worked but didn't save enough, in which case you have to go save to be able to prove that you can actually economize with little so that somebody can give you more to be able to economize with. Or you haven't gained any experience at all. I wouldn't give money to somebody who's not gained any experience. I mean, what is he going to do with the money? Get into any field, any kind of business, learning about the business, understanding some of the challenges of people, help to structure a business, a presentation, etc. Just the basics that you can learn. There's a lot you still learn being an entrepreneur, but I want to see a bit of a background to know that you've actually learned something from somebody.
What would be the 3 most valuable tips you would leave with an entrepreneur?
I think one for sure is passion. Find something you're very passionate about. I think a lot of people think of entrepreneurship almost as if, you go out there, you build something for 1 year, 2 years, and you move on from it. No, entrepreneurship is almost, or starting a business is almost like finding a wife, right? I mean, you have to be looking for somebody that, or something that, high and low, you're going to be sticking with it. It's almost a journey of 10 years plus. So find something you're extremely passionate about. Don't start a business till I can keep waking up every day dealing with the subject matter. So passion for sure. Patience. Patience. You just have to be patient. Things look great in an Excel spreadsheet, but it just takes time to happen. You'll get your fair share of lucky breaks, just like you get your fair share of unlucky breaks. I mean, things will just happen. I have had the experience of literally close to closing a deal, and the next thing, something happens and the person has been removed from the role. The promoter of my organization within that organization has been removed from the role, and all of a sudden the deal is no longer on the table. So you have to pursue, you have to be patient and keep pushing, because in much the same way you get a phone call from somebody who says, "Oh, I like what you guys are doing. Next, I'm going to invest," and it goes from there. And that cuts across just about everything. And then the last one I would say is, speaking about passion, patience, I guess I'll add perseverance. You have to persevere. It almost come together as a triple P thing, but I didn't really think about it that way. You have to persevere. You have to. It's almost like you're banging your head against the wall. So it's either your head that's going to crack or the wall that's going to crack.
So
but
if you keep banging,
the wall will crack. You have to have the staying power. You have to keep waking up every day with a smile on your face. And the way I do it is,
so sometimes you're actually deflated, but you just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, so my trick is very simple. I wake up and I say a loud good morning to just about everybody I see. Right, and that somewhat just lifts my mood gradually. So I say,
so that's
first
the therapy.
Person, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I just almost force myself, because one of the things that can't really happen is for the people that you're leading to see you deflated, right? I mean, you're a human being, but they need you. They need you to inspire them. You need to guide them. So you have to almost find a way to manage yourself and keep pushing, right? That should be it.
Being a leader, it's tough work, isn't it? Well, thank you so much for coming in today. I think it's been very valuable. We've been hearing some very useful and valuable insights from the co-founder of Supermart.ng, Raphael Afaedor. And that's the end of our show for today. Thank you so much for listening. I'm sure you've learned a thing or two about doing business in Nigeria and what it takes to be an entrepreneur. I'm Wale Famrewa. Thank you for listening, and good morning.
You're listening to Mind Your Own Business, brought to you by UBA, Africa's Global Bank.
For inquiries on Mind Your Own Business, follow on Twitter at MYOB Nigeria and UBA Group, Facebook.com/MYOB Nigeria and Facebook.com/UBA Group, Instagram.com/Mind Your Own Biz Nigeria, or email cfc@ubagroup.com. You can also call UBA CFC on 01-280-8822 or 01-631-9822 and 0700-2255-822. Today's business tips on Mind Your Own Business from Raphael Afaedor, co-founder Supermart.ng, are the 3 Ps: passion, patience, and perseverance.
That was Mind Your Own Business, brought to you by UBA, Africa's Global Bank.